In the far future, when the stars were no longer distant dreams, but open doors for mankind, there was a name whispered in secret halls and crowded spaceports alike. The name was Galactic Zen. It was not a machine that could be seen in every hand, nor was it a tool that could be bought in markets. It was something far stranger and far more dangerous to describe. Some called it a gift left by unseen hands from beyond the edges of the galaxy. Others whispered that it was a curse, a hidden trap waiting to swallow those foolish enough to use it. Galactic Zen was not fully understood by anyone, not even the brightest minds of human science. People only knew fragments, scattered rumors and half-truths, told in hushed tones. The system appeared to be alive, yet it was not alive. It responded like a voice, but it had no mouth. It guided ships through star tunnels where no maps existed yet. It was never wrong. Some said Galactic Zen was older than the human race itself, a relic from civilizations long gone whose memory had turned to dust in the silence of space. There were captains who swore by it, claiming that Galactic Zen saved them from pirate ambushes and black holes. There were explorers who told stories that it revealed hidden planets full of rare resources, planets that never showed up on scanners until the system pointed them out. But there were also darker tales of those who trusted it too much only to vanish without a trace. Whole fleets that once linked themselves to Galactic Zen's network only to disappear into empty space, leaving behind nothing but silence and a faint pulse of unknown energy. For those who still lived, the mystery grew deeper. Was it really a gift guiding mankind to rise higher than ever before? Or was it something watching humanity, testing them like insects in a glass jar? The narrator sees the whispers spreading through colonies and stations where fear and hope lived side by side. Some people worshipped it like a god, building shrines with glowing blue circuits, claiming that Galactic Zen chose profits among them. Others cursed it, declaring it a parasite, feeding on human curiosity and greed. But no one ignored it, not anymore, because once Galactic Zen appeared, it never left. It installed itself silently on certain ships without request. Some woke up to find its interface glowing on their consoles, a sphere of shifting light that pulsed like a heartbeat, and every time it appeared, the crew had to choose ignore it and risk losing opportunities beyond imagination, or accept it and gamble their future on a system they could not control. And so Galactic Zen became both dream and nightmare, a legend woven into human destiny. Its presence raised one question across the stars, a question no one could escape. Was this system humanity's greatest ally or its final enemy? And as the ships moved deeper into uncharted galaxies, with the light of Galactic Zen guiding them, the answer was still hidden behind its cold, unblinking glow. Long before mankind discovered Galactic Zen, there were signs of something strange hidden in forgotten ruins scattered across the stars, ancient temples of stone standing on worlds with no native people, carvings showing a circle of light, always drawn with rays. Stretching into the sky, these ruins had confused explorers for centuries, until the first time Galactic Zen appeared. Then suddenly the carvings made sense. The circle of light was the system itself, a presence older than the human race, older even than many of the stars now burning bright and dying in the cosmos. The narrator explains how scientists and historians tried to connect the dots, but every answer led to new questions. Galactic Zen seemed to know every road through the galaxy, but no record showed who had built it, or when some experts claimed it was not built at all, they argued that it was grown like a seed, a living code woven into the structure of reality itself. Others believed it was the creation of a forgotten empire that rose and fell millions of years before humans ever learned to shape fire. Yet the truth remained hidden, like a locked door with no key. Galactic Zen spoke in data streams. It offered maps and knowledge, yet it never gave explanations. Its features appeared limitless. It could bend star paths, opening wormholes that should not exist. It could heal wounds and sickness when linked to medical technology. It could generate energy out of nothing, powering ships for centuries. It could even detect danger before it happened, giving warnings seconds before an asteroid strike or enemy attack. But for every gift there was a shadow. For every miracle there was a hidden price. Captains reported strange malfunctions once they connected with Galactic Zen. Systems failing without reason. fuel leaking into empty space memories, disappearing from logs as if someone erased them. People began to notice that every use of galactic Zen demanded something in return, sometimes small, like draining power cells, sometimes larger, like draining life from the crew. Rumors spread that it fed not on energy, but on human will itself. Some engineers swore they felt watched while working near its glowing sphere. Its light pulsed in patterns like it was breathing, like it was listening not to machines but to thoughts and dreams. There were even stories of dreams turning real, or nightmares escaping into reality after long exposure to the system, as if galactic Zen could reach into the human mind and pull out what it desired despite the fear many could not resist using it. The temptation was too great, because galactic Zen opened doors no one else could open. It promised secrets beyond imagination, civilizations built around its presence, colonies rising on planets once unreachable. Entire wars ended early because galactic Zen revealed ambushes before they could strike. Yet the more people relied on it, the more uneasy they became, as if they were walking down a road someone else had chosen for them. Not their own path, but one set long ago by an unseen hand. The narrator reminds us that power never comes without cost, and galactic Zen seemed to know the price of every choice better than the humans themselves. Some wondered if it was testing them, measuring their worth like an examiner, scoring answers on a hidden exam. Others whispered that it was guiding them somewhere specific, pushing mankind toward an end. Only it could see whatever the truth was. One thing became clear: no one controlled galactic Zen. It chose when to appear. It chose who to aid, and it chose when to stay silent. Those who tried to break it apart or study its inner code always failed. The system melted into light before their eyes, leaving nothing behind. And then, days or weeks later, it would reappear on another ship, glowing softly as if waiting for the next user. It was untouchable, unbreakable, and unexplainable, but never absent. The mystery only deepened, and humanity was left to wonder: was galactic Zen leading them toward glory or destruction, and what hidden truth waited at the end of its path? The strange light still pulsed in the night sky, steady and calm, but Daniel's heart was far from calm. The warning signs grew louder each day, yet the world refused to listen. People continued to argue, governments continued to deny, and the light continued to grow closer. It was like watching a storm forming on the horizon, while everyone else pretended the sky was clear. Daniel could not ignore it anymore. He kept searching through old archives, reading every forgotten paper, every strange report. Each record told him the same thing: the light was never just light. It always came before destruction, but none of the records explained why. What was the cause? Was it a natural disaster or something else? The answer stayed hidden, like a shadow behind the stars. One evening, as Daniel sat in the observatory, he heard footsteps outside. He froze. No one ever visited him at night. Slowly, the door creaked open, and a man in a dark coat stepped inside. His face was partly hidden by the light of the telescope screen. "You should stop your research," the man said in a low, firm voice. Daniel stood, nervous but angry. "Who are you? How do you know about my work?" The man didn't answer directly. Instead, he pulled out a small folder and placed it on the desk. "This is all you need to know. The light is not new. It has been here before, and it never comes alone." Without another word, the man turned and left, disappearing into the night. Daniel opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside were photographs, black and white images of the sky taken decades ago. In each photo, the same strange pulsing light appeared. But what made Daniel's blood run cold were the last few pictures. They showed burned villages, destroyed ships, and entire cities in ruins. On the back of one photograph, words were written: "They arrive when the light opens the way." He stared at the words, his mind racing. They? Who were they? Were they the ones sending the signal? Or were they something darker, something hiding behind the signal? The word enemy echoed in his head, though he didn't want to believe it. That night, Daniel noticed something new. The light in the sky wasn't alone anymore. Smaller dots appeared near it, faint at first, but growing clearer as the hours passed. They looked like tiny stars moving in formation. His telescope revealed more detail. They were not stars. They were objects, solid, sharp, and moving with purpose. Ships. He gasped, his hands shaking. "No! This can't be." The smaller lights moved like hunters circling around the main pulsing star. For the first time, Daniel realized the truth. The strange light was not just a warning. It was a doorway, and something was coming through. Meanwhile, in government control rooms, officials already knew. Satellites tracked dozens of unidentified objects, moving near the edge of the solar system. Military leaders whispered behind closed doors, debating if they should prepare for war. But they refused to tell the public, afraid of panic. Instead, they watched silently, hoping the objects would vanish. But deep down, they knew the enemy was real. Daniel's recordings captured the objects clearly. He tried to upload them online, but each time his internet crashed. It was as if someone was blocking him. Angry and desperate, he drove into town to use a public network. But before he could post the files, his phone buzzed. A new message appeared. "Stop now or you will disappear like the others." Fear tightened his chest. Who were these people watching him? How did they know his every move? He felt trapped like a pawn in a game he didn't understand. Still, he couldn't stop. If the enemy was coming, humanity needed to know. That night, the light blinked again, and Daniel's computer translated another word. Awake. He didn't understand. Awake what? Awake who? Was the light speaking to him, or to the hidden ships around it? He zoomed in through the telescope, his breath catching in his throat. One of the smaller lights had changed direction. It was moving, not toward the light, but toward Earth. Daniel's hands went cold. His mind screamed at him to run, to hide, but he couldn't look away. He watched as the object moved faster, brighter, until it disappeared from the telescope's view. Somewhere in the night sky, something was already on its way. Elsewhere in a secret bunker, alarms sounded. Military officers shouted as radar screens lit up. An unidentified craft had entered the atmosphere. Jets were launched, but communication was cut off almost immediately. The craft moved faster than anything human-made, vanishing into the clouds. The enemy had arrived and no one was ready. Daniel sat in silence, staring at the word on his screen. Awake. He realized the horrible truth. The light was not just warning them. It was calling to them, inviting them, opening the path for something that had always been hidden, waiting in the dark. The world thought the strange light was a mystery. Daniel now knew it was far worse. It was a signal, and the hidden enemy was no longer hidden. They were here. The world was no longer the same. The strange light pulsed brighter than ever, and the smaller objects around it grew clearer each night. People no longer argued if it was real. Now they argued about what it meant. Some demanded peace, others screamed for war. Fear spread like fire, and governments tightened their grip, hiding truths while preparing for the worst. Daniel felt trapped between two worlds, the quiet life of an astronomer and the terrifying knowledge of what was coming. He had seen the craft that entered Earth's skies. He knew the hidden enemy was real, and yet no one believed him. The media kept repeating the same lie. It is only a natural event. But Daniel knew better. Days later, strange reports filled the news. Villagers in remote areas claimed they saw glowing objects in the night. Farmers found their cattle gone, their fields burned with strange marks. A pilot went missing mid-flight, his last words recorded on radio. "They are here." The evidence was growing, but still the leaders of the world stayed silent. Daniel could not stay silent. He uploaded his recordings once again, this time through a secret channel. Within hours, thousands of people watched his video. Some called him crazy, others called him a hero, but the truth spread like wildfire. And the more people watched, the more Daniel felt eyes watching him. The warning in the old message echoed in his mind. You will disappear like the others. That night, while Daniel studied the sky, his telescope caught something new. Not just lights or signals, shapes. Dark, massive shapes hiding between the stars. They looked like ships, but unlike anything human-made. Their outlines were jagged, unnatural, almost alive. They moved slowly, but with purpose. He whispered, "They're preparing." Across the world, military forces activated. Fighter jets patrolled the skies. Submarines moved silently beneath oceans. Satellites armed themselves in orbit. But for all their power, there was fear in every command. Humanity had weapons, but against what? Against who? No one knew. Then the first encounter came. In a desert region, soldiers were sent after a glowing object that had landed. Their radios captured only fragments of words before silence fell. Hours later, only their burned vehicles were found. No bodies, no answers. Just silence and the strange marks carved into the sand, marks that looked like symbols, the same symbols Daniel had seen in his signal recordings. Governments tried to hide it, but news leaked. The world trembled. Some begged for peace talks, others demanded retaliation. The light in the sky pulsed faster, almost like it was laughing. Daniel studied the new signal, his computer translating it into chilling words. Choose. Choose what? Choose who? His mind spun. Was the message meant for him, or for humanity itself? He felt a pressure in his chest, a weight heavier than fear. The battle of wills had begun, not with weapons, but with choices. Would humanity bow in fear or stand in defiance? In secret rooms, leaders argued. Some wanted to send messages of peace, offering alliance. Others wanted to strike first, destroy the incoming ships before they reached Earth. The room grew divided, voices raised, until one general spoke clearly. If they are enemies, peace will not save us. If they are friends, war will not save us either. We must test their will, and so humanity prepared for its first true confrontation. Not a battle of guns, but a battle of wills. A single ship was launched into space, carrying a message written in every language of Earth. We see you. We know you. We are not afraid. Daniel watched the broadcast, his heart pounding. Humanity was speaking finally. But would the hidden enemy listen? Or would they strike? Hours passed, the world holding its breath. Then from the strange light a reply came. The pulsing star blinked rapidly and Daniel's computer translated, "Prove." The message spread quickly. Scientists debated its meaning. What did they want proven? Strength, peace, submission? No one knew. But Daniel felt deep inside it was a challenge. They were testing humanity, measuring if humans were weak or strong, if they were prey or something more. That night Daniel could not sleep. He remembered the old files, the forgotten warnings. The light always came before destruction. But maybe this time there was a chance to change the pattern. Maybe this time humanity could prove itself, but then something terrifying happened. In the middle of the night, Daniel woke to the sound of static from his computer. The signal had returned, and the translation showed a new word, decide. At the same time, his telescope showed a massive shadow moving closer to Earth. One of the ships was no longer waiting. It was coming. The battle of wills was no longer a quiet test. The gateway in the sky grew larger each night. What was once a strange pulsing star now burned like a wound in the darkness. From it ships emerged, dark shapes that blotted out the stars as they moved. They were massive, silent, and terrifying. Humanity could no longer deny it. The enemy had arrived. Across the world, fear turned to chaos. Cities prepared for attacks, governments declared states of emergency, and people fled to underground shelters. But the greatest danger was not the enemy, it was division. The alliance of nations had already broken. Some still believed they could make peace, while others prepared for war. And in their arguments, valuable time was lost. Daniel watched helplessly from his observatory. Every night he recorded the gateway. Every night more ships appeared. His computer continued to translate the signals. The words grew darker. Submit, kneel, obey. They were not messages of peace. They were demands, Daniel whispered into the empty room. We will never kneel. But his heart was heavy. How could humanity fight such power? How could fragile humans stand against machines that crossed the stars? Then one night the enemy struck. Without warning, a city on the coast was attacked. Witnesses described beams of light cutting through buildings like paper. Streets turned to fire and the skies burned. Thousands vanished in moments. The world froze in horror. The enemy had shown their power, but humanity was not ready to surrender. For the first time, something remarkable happened. In the face of destruction, the broken nations began to rise together. Old enemies called each other as allies. Scientists shared secrets they had kept hidden. Soldiers of different flags stood side by side. Humanity, divided for so long, finally remembered who they were. They were not just nations. They were one species, and they would fight. Daniel watched the news as humanity prepared. Fleets of ships launched into the skies. Jets roared across the clouds. For the first time, humans aimed their weapons not at each other, but at the enemy above. The words of the hidden message echoed in his mind. They fear you more than you think. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was hope. The first great battle began above Earth's atmosphere. Human ships, fragile compared to the enemy, flew in swarms. They moved faster, smaller, harder to hit. The enemy's massive ships fired beams of destruction, but humans did not give up. They attacked with missiles, lasers, and weapons built in secret labs. Some ships fell burning into the sea below, but others struck true, piercing enemy armor and forcing the giants to retreat. On the ground, cities defended themselves. Tanks rolled through streets, firing at smaller enemy crafts that descended like hunters. Civilians armed themselves, refusing to run. Humanity fought with everything they had, not just machines, but willpower. Daniel stayed in his observatory, tracking the signals. His computer blinked again and again, showing new words: resist, defy, fight. For a moment he froze. Were these messages from the enemy, or from something else? Perhaps the light was not just an enemy signal. Perhaps it was also a test, a voice urging humans to rise. The battle raged for hours. The skies were fire, the seas boiling with wreckage. But humanity did not surrender, and slowly, incredibly, the enemy began to falter. Their great ships were strong, but they were not prepared for human defiance. Every strike, every sacrifice, every act of courage made the invaders hesitate. In one desperate move, humans launched their greatest weapon, a pulse designed to shut down enemy systems. It had been untested, built in secret. Scientists warned it could also damage Earth's own systems, but there was no choice. The weapon was fired. A great wave of energy spread across the sky, crackling like thunder. For a moment, the world went silent. Lights flickered. Screens went dark. Even Daniel's telescope froze. Then, one by one, the massive enemy ships began to fall. Some drifted back through the gateway. Others exploded in brilliant flashes. Humanity had struck them down. Cheers rose across the world. Soldiers cried in relief. Families embraced. Strangers hugged in the streets. Humanity had not been destroyed. They had fought and they had survived. But Daniel did not celebrate. He stared at the gateway, still burning in the sky. It did not close. In fact, it grew brighter, as if the enemy had only begun. His computer beeped again, translating a final message. Not over. His heart sank. Humanity had won the first battle, but the war was far from finished. The enemy was wounded, not defeated, and the gateway was still open. Daniel looked out at the horizon, at the world scarred but unbroken, and whispered, "We proved ourselves. Now we must prove again." The final stand was not just one battle, it was the beginning of something greater. Humanity had faced the darkness and survived. But the true test was still to come.